Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are tackling what is honestly one of the most critical, kind of explosive puzzles of the modern internet. We're talking about the delicate balance between child safety and digital privacy. We're going to unpack exactly what the new regulatory landscape means for the future of the web, and how a brand new approach to technology might just save the day.
So, this brings up a massive, really foundational question. Can we actually protect kids online without completely destroying privacy in the process? Because this is the historic paradox that tech platforms are staring down right now. How in the world do you build a digital environment that is strictly safe by default for children without inadvertently converting the entire internet into this intrusive surveillance state that tracks everybody? It sounds like an impossible task, but the answer is incredibly fascinating.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The Kids Act arrives. To understand the solution, we first really need to look at the legislative catalyst that is irrevocably changing the American internet right now, and that's H.R. 7757. It passed the U.S. House of Representatives with a super decisive 267 to 117 bipartisan vote. This is the Kids Internet and Digital Safety, or KIDS Act. And listen, this isn't just a minor update. It's being billed as the most aggressive tech reform package in a generation. It's an omnibus megabill, meaning it actually consolidates 14 distinct pieces of children's safety legislation into one giant overarching framework, targeting social media, gaming, AI, and data brokers.
Now, what's absolutely fascinating here is the stark divide in how this bill is viewed. On one side, you have parent advocacy groups who are celebrating this legislation as a much-needed, long-overdue shield against the algorithmic exploitation of minors. But on the exact flip side, civil liberties organizations like the ACLU and the Electronic Frontier Foundation are issuing serious warnings. They're pointing out severe unintended consequences regarding data privacy and free expression. Both sides are looking at the exact same text, but through entirely different lenses. And our goal here today isn't to take a side, but simply to look at the facts of what the law actually demands.
And those demands are sweeping. The law focuses heavily on product design and operational defaults. First up, under the KOSA provisions, we see the death of addictive design. Platforms literally have to turn off features like infinite scrolling and autoplay videos for users under 17, which, frankly, some of us adults might desperately need too. Second, COPPA 2.0 officially extends strict data protections and outlaws targeted ads for teenagers up to age 16 while giving them a legal delete button to totally purge their data. Third, the SafeBots Act forces AI to announce itself as artificial and provide crisis helplines. And finally, the Gaming Act locks down direct messaging and proximity voice chat by default in multiplayer environments to prevent grooming.
Which leads us to the next part of the story. Section 2, the privacy nightmare.
You see, the goals of those mandates we just covered are incredibly clear. But here is where the plot thickens and creates what experts are calling a massive compliance trap. The fiercest criticism stems from one specific, highly consequential phrase embedded in the text: know or should have known. Platforms must apply these protections to anyone they know or should have known is a minor. Because of this legal standard, platforms can't just ask you to click a button saying you're 18 anymore. To avoid catastrophic regulatory fines, they are heavily incentivized to strictly verify the age of every single individual crossing their digital threshold.
And that brings us to a rather terrifying reality. The intended goal is noble, right? Simply verify a user's age? But the dangerous reality of how platforms currently operate means they might literally force you to upload a photo of your physical government ID, provide a social security number, or even undergo a biometric facial scan just to log into a casual gaming forum. Suddenly, standard social media apps and niche websites become massive, centralized repositories of raw, highly sensitive personal data.
And this brilliantly illustrates the danger. By hoarding all this data, platforms create a centralized honeypot problem. If a platform suffers a data breach, the very physical IDs uploaded to protect a child become instant ammunition for identity thieves. Plus, fearing legal liability, automated filters might over-moderate, leading to collateral censorship. Younger users might be blocked from accessing healthy, vital discussions, things like mental health support, addiction recovery, or LGBTQ+ peer groups, simply because platforms just don't want to risk a rule infraction.
So, how do we solve this? Section 3, rethinking digital identity.
To escape this gridlock, the answer isn't more aggressive data collection. It actually requires a fundamental architectural shift. Tech platforms are looking to frameworks detailed at UIID.linkspreed.com, specifically the Universal Integrated Identity, or UIID.
Think of this as a zero-trust, passwordless digital identity layer. Standard internet operations today treat your identity like a single folder full of files that you just hand over to every website you visit. UIID completely flips the script by decoupling identity to protect your privacy.
Let's look at the mechanics. Section 4. How UID works.
To really grasp why this is such a game changer for both safety and privacy, we need to break down this two-tier paradigm. UIID separates your identity into two distinct parts. First, you have the core ID, the anchor. This is permanent, cryptographically secure, and bounded by high-level trust metrics like KYC compliance or biometrics. But crucially, it remains entirely private. Websites never, ever get to see the raw records inside it. Then you have the contextual aliases, the shields. When you log into an app, UIID generates a distinct, disposable sub-identity just for that app. If you log into a game and then a social network, they see two completely different, totally unlinkable aliases. They cannot cross-reference your data or track your movements across the web.
So let's see how this builds in practice. Step 1. A user logs in using UIID. Step 2. The platform needs to know if they're a minor, but instead of demanding a birth certificate, it just queries a third-party auditor for a trust badge. Step 3. The platform receives a cryptographic confirmation. Step 4. Based on that confirmation, the platform automatically toggles the minor defaults on or off.
And what exactly does that cryptographic confirmation look like? It literally looks just like this string of text. This profile possesses a verified level 1 age attestation. That is it. The platform instantly knows it needs to turn off infinite scrolling in direct messaging, fully satisfying that know or should have known legal standard. And they achieve this without ever learning the child's legal name, gender, address, or exact date of birth. Corporate liability is eliminated and privacy is perfectly preserved.
Bringing it all together. Section 5. A sovereign path forward.
So the crucial point is right here. Let's map these UIID mechanics directly back to those sweeping KIDS Act demands. For strict age gating, the old risk was harvesting physical IDs. The UIID solution is using those trust badges we just discussed. What about COPPA 2.0's delete button? Traditionally, user data is scattered everywhere across servers, making true deletion a logistical nightmare. But with UIID, because data is tied to an isolated contextual alias, a single command permanently purges that specific alias and all its connected data nodes instantly. It literally turns an expensive engineering headache into a frictionless transaction. And for AI and gaming guardrails, UIID uses secure data buckets to cryptographically restrict chat access only to verified parent-approved accounts.
But hey, that's not just about protecting minors. UIID also neutralizes one of the biggest fears surrounding this legislation, the fear of locking adults out of the digital public square. Because the network isolates sub-identities per application, an adult user can easily maintain a high trust score to prove they are over 18, all while remaining entirely 100% anonymous to the website itself. This protects whistleblowers, vulnerable groups, and basic internet freedom. You can comment, create, and browse without a platform building a massive interconnected ledger of your real-life identity. Which brings us to our final thought. As society tries to protect its children from data harvesting and addictive algorithms, we face a real crossroads. Will we accept an internet that functions as a digital border checkpoint, demanding physical paperwork from every citizen just to log on? Or will we choose a decentralized model, proving that child safety and absolute data privacy can genuinely coexist? UID proves we don't have to choose between protecting youth and upholding our right to privacy. The technology is already here. I highly encourage you to keep exploring this fascinating intersection of regulation and tech. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.